We need to talk about Mission Impossible. It's crazy to me that this franchise's grand finale seems to have passed by without anyone talking about it. I'm actually appalled at how amateurish so much of this film was. I can pretty confidently say that no one here knows anything about Mission Impossible lore, nor do they care. And I think the editor knew this too, because the entire exposition catch-up is interspliced with clips from the older films. It's really concerning how often they feel the need to do this. You should be able to remind me of the charm of the original films by giving me a new experience just like it. Make me feel that same excitement, not from the same clips, but from new action set pieces and new character moments. There is no reason why this film shouldn't have opened with an action set piece. In fact, this finale is so devoid of anything that made the other films so brilliant that it constantly feels the need to remind you that it's a Mission Impossible film. And I'm sorry to whoever edited this movie, by the way. You didn't really have a lot to work with, but you're sure as hell going to get brought up a lot more in this video. Just look at these iMovie transitions he keeps throwing in for no reason. Another thing that The Final Reckoning seems to be obsessed with is Dutch angles. Usually, they're a great way to convey unease when they break the pattern of regular parallel shots. For some reason, probably to keep the audience awake during all the boring dialogue, they spam it so much. Dutch angles are supposed to be a technique that you use for deliberate reasons. And at this point, we've only made it to the title card, and it's only going to get worse from here. And this title reveal has about 100 quick teasers of an action sequence with 2 biplanes. It honestly feels like Mr. Beast retention editing. Do you actually have so little trust in your audience to stay until the climax of your film that you have to tease it during the intro? It's probably because they knew full well that the only Mission Impossible-esque scene was right at the end of the film, so they had to justify people staying for the first 2 acts. We're here to see 2 biplanes collide. Why overcomplicate the setup? I promise you that no one is buying a ticket for Mission Impossible hoping for a complicated plotline to follow. This is the part of the video now where you got to promise me that you're not going to fall asleep. I know that Sidemen Among Us is just calling you, or whatever you'd rather watch, but I'm going to read out the plot summary from Wikipedia. 2 months after retrieving the key to the source code for the malevolent AI known as the Entity, rogue agent Ethan Hunt receives a message from the President of the United States. First of all, absolutely class act making it about AI. I reckon it was between that and global warming in a coin flip. Secondly, is this an intentional parody of action movie jargon dialogue? Because it should be. You know you're late to the party when you're ripping off the Don Cheadle villain from Space Jam 2.
Well, that happened.
Except this time, we don't even get to see the Entity in action. I'm not convinced it even exists. We're now like 40 minutes in and the film decides it's time for an emotional death scene. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to the classic character Luther, who has to heroically sacrifice himself to save the world. What's the most overdone cliche way he can do this? He has to jump on a time bomb to minimize the blast.
Even if you could get that gate open, I still have to detach one detonator.
And this moment really encapsulates my main criticism with this film. This dude didn't get a single thing to do before he died. You better hope that everyone's watched the previous films recently, otherwise this is just a random dude showing up and dying. This whole finale barely works as a standalone piece of media. And it's all because they think this franchise is so much more important than it actually is. You don't even need to show me clips of him from previous films. Just have him do something in character in this film before he dies so I can understand who he is and feel the emotional weight, because I really don't.
How the mission went sideways, how you lost your whole team.
Oh, the dialogue is so bad. Nobody talks like that. If you want to exposition dump the audience, deliver the information in any other way. Remember when is the lowest form of conversation. There is absolutely no reason for these characters to be reminiscing on these events like this. It's just so obvious that they're talking straight to the audience.
Everything you've done has come to this.
I don't think it has. This doesn't feel like a finale that's been planned and built up to. It's just another entry that happens to be the last one. They act like this is the culmination of 30 years of cinema. Your AI plotline hasn't been planned at all, just admit it. You're just shoehorning sentimental dialogue into another Mission Impossible summer release and calling it a send-off. At least Avengers Endgame had an underlying theme that this was a send-off for all of their classic characters. Final Reckoning just keeps showing you the same clip of Ethan Hunt dangling above the floor and calling this his swan song. Nothing about this is his swan song. Top Gun Maverick unironically works as a better Mission Impossible finale than this film.
They know that we have only 72 hours before every other nuclear arsenal on Earth is under the Entity's control.
Wow, I'm really feeling the stakes of the scene with the million countdowns I've got to keep track of. 72 hours? How the hell are you going to hack an AI? In only 72 hours? You have me on the edge of my seat. for 72 hours. Also, how is this AI not just drone strike Tom Cruise at this point? If it's supposedly got the ability to hack nuclear weapons, why doesn't it just drop a bomb on his head? He's literally just driving around in the open. It's got 72 hours to kill one aging dude, and we're supposed to believe that this has the power to end the world. Also, are you guys nostalgic about Luther yet? I know he literally just died, but the film wants us to have an emotional flashback to him talking about his future.
I left you a message on there for when this is over.
Oh, I'm so sad. I really missed this character that we said goodbye to 8 minutes ago. Could you really not have had him do one meaningful thing in this film before he died? Am I actually supposed to be emotionally invested in him? Am I actually supposed to be emotionally invested in any of this? At this point, I just accepted that it was bad and got invested in how much worse it could actually get. And it gets a lot worse. They find out there's this key gizmo that can disable the AI, the entity, and they find out that at some point it was discovered by Inuits. And then they have this dramatic brainstorming session where they basically figure out that because it was found by Inuits, it must be somewhere snowy. That's not all that clever now, is it?
We know the bodies of the Sevastopol's crew were covered in sea ice. And since they were covered by Inuit fishermen,
we're guessing it went down somewhere in the Arctic.
I actually can't express how sloppy some of the editing choices are. Watch this edit here where it cuts from one shot of Tom Cruise to a slightly different shot of Tom Cruise mid-sentence.
After sending me the coordinates, my team will make their way there.
Editing is the most important tool in all of film. The ability to cut from one thing to another is the singular aspect of film that isn't present in any other form of art. Every edit should be a deliberate choice done with purpose. And then look at this. So they go to the North Pole, or Lapland, or whatever, and the big plan is to have Tom Cruise swim under the ice so that he can find the wreck of a naval base. They have all these quirky gadgets, and yet can't think of a plan better than Tom Cruise swimming under the ice. At least give him an aquajet.
Hang on. Depending on how deep that wreck is, Ethan will have severe decompression sickness before he reaches the surface.
Ethan will have severe decompression sickness. Sorry, this guy sucks at acting. Don't expect to see him in the next Mission Impossible film. Huh? There isn't going to be another one. They have this great shot where they're talking about how risky the plan is, and they cut to Tom Cruise's lifeless body in the water. Just quality stuff. Did the audience really not grasp the concept of what a dead Tom Cruise would look like? Now, what shot would you put in this film to then turn it into a parody of itself? Get in, it's a Dutch angle of a countdown. I'm starting to believe that they're not doing it on purpose. Faulty tripod or something. They also keep repeating this crappy line throughout the film that the entity wants them to distrust each other.
The entity, it wants you to hate me.
It's an AI that hacks nuclear weapons. Why would it care if Tom Cruise and his mates distrust each other? Why would it want them to distrust each other any more than it wants to drop a bomb on his head? So they have this mission that's impossible, and they keep telling us that it's impossible by showing us clips of what if Tom Cruise died. Okay, I'm gonna have to let this water transition slide because we just haven't got the time. Then this epic fight scene happens. I don't even care who it's between. And I know you don't either. It's actually really irresponsible how they portray fire as safe to be around. This room should be engulfed in black smoke, but no, they're just kind of chill next to it.
Where's Domino? Domino!
Really clever how quickly Simon Pegg got over his coughing fit there. We get this lol funny scene with the Inuit trying to communicate to I don't remember her name. It's actually very similar to the scene of Homer Simpson in Alaska in the Homer Simpson movie. So Tom Cruise is about to jump into the water for his big swim, and his mates are teaching him how not to explode his lungs while he's down there.
And don't forget, you must exhale continuously as you rise to the surface. Hold your breath, and your lungs will explode.
Don't you think this is the type of thing that you should have covered with him ages ago? Why are you only telling him right before he jumps in? He should have had this in his head all along. This shot is so cringe. Maybe I could take this whole next sequence a lot more seriously if the mask Tom Cruise wears didn't make his head look twice the size. We sit through Tom Cruise swimming around for a long while. It's actually dead boring. Maybe I just completely lost interest by this point, but considering how tense and dangerous they made this mission out to be, he seems to be taking it rather leisurely. Just look at how uninterested Tom Cruise's reaction is to discovering the submarine and its dead crew. It's a shame a reaction that bad got magnified to twice its size. So he explores the wreckage for 20 minutes. I love that the only line of dialogue in the whole sequence was torpedo tube.
Torpedo tube.
That made me giggle at least. And luckily, half-naked Tom Cruise swims to safety. very dramatic scene of him waking up as if they'd actually consider killing him off an hour before the franchise ends. In this scene between Tom Cruise and his mates, they must have decided that it was so dull in the editing room that they went back and added a load of unnecessary B-roll. Simon Pegg says data server and they just cut to a random shot of a data server.
Once the entity is infected with Luther's algorithm, it will think it's entering the Junction's central data server, when it will actually be going here.
This next one is even worse. The plan revolves around having a USB plugged in for a very precise amount of time. They used to ride motorcycles off cliffs, I know. And they feel the need to have two separate shots showing them hypothetically pulling a USB out too quickly and hypothetically pulling it out too slowly. Is it just me that finds this stuff cringe? I actually can't tell if they think that the audience isn't engaged or if they think that the audience is stupid. Or both. All of the army people are talking about the fact that there might be political chaos if every country starts setting off nuclear weapons. You reckon?
Obviously, the bombing of major cities in 8 different countries would create an unprecedented political crisis.
How unintelligent do you take your audience to be? Nuclear weapons are bad, and countries would be upset if they got flattened by one, and this is what it looks like when you pull out a USB too quickly, and this is what it looks like when you pull out a USB too slowly. Okay, it's finally time for the big set piece that the last 2 hours have been justifying. The whole concept is that the baddie who likes the AI is in one biplane, escaping with the key, and Tom Cruise is in the other biplane. I don't know why he thought that antique biplanes were the best method of escape, but he probably knew that he was going to be in a Mission Impossible ending. And I'm not sure if you know this, it's a little bit of a trade secret, but a little birdie told me that Tom Cruise does his own stunts. Unfortunately, they still have to keep cutting back to the other characters that there are way too many of. There is no reason for this woman to still be here, and this dude even says it himself that there is nothing for him to do.
I'll stay with them. There's nothing for me to do in the server room.
There hasn't been all film. I don't know why he's here. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I actually don't care that the stunts are real when they look this stilted and directionless. And they just need to stop cutting from the biplanes to the server room that I know nobody cares about.
Grace, I need you to hack the server so we can let the entity in.
How do the words hack the server tell her everything that she needs to know? It can't just be me that this annoys. At this point, the only thing that's keeping me entertained is how many times they insist on having a Tom Cruise crotch shot and these shots of him with wind blowing in his face. I'm not sure if they were supposed to be as funny as I found them. Between this and the giant face, I think his mission was to look as stupid as he could in each action scene. I call that mission very possible. Surprised he didn't want a massive head again. Absolutely incredible shot. Tom Cruise looks like a beetle. And then out of nowhere, the villain jumps out of the plane and smacks his head and dies.
Good luck!
I actually have no clue if this was meant to be funny or not. I'm genuinely on the fence. Tom Cruise jumps out of the plane too, but his parachute catches on fire, so surely he's dead. Again, not sure if I was supposed to find this shot as funny as I did. And then he completes the mission in midair and saves the world from the substance. I mean the entity. But he's falling to his death, and there's no way that he can make it out of this one. Luckily, Tom Cruise has a second parachute. I wish I was making this up. I don't think I'm the only one losing the plot, at least. I wonder if they would have killed him off if James Bond hadn't have just done that. That's the end of the film, by the way. He survives because he had a second parachute. So all in all, I feel pretty damn well blue-balled by Mission Impossible's finale. To me, they completely dropped the ball at the last hurdle and only had enough energy to muster up the blandest of plots and a few cool stunts. I'm not really sure that Final Reckoning had anything that I'd call a theme or a reason to exist, but I'm just glad that Tom Cruise finally has enough free time to spend on his real passion: Scientology.